So people are talking about Honkai Star Rail version 3.8 either being the best or worst patch for a number of reasons. And I've got my thoughts on some of the criticisms for this patch, but let's get one thing out of the way real quick. The reason that we're even having this patch be 8 weeks long, it's due to real world politics. It's not due to anything else. Like, I'm not gonna lay out the data for you, but if you know what's going on between Japan and China right now, you would know that basically every Chinese developer is basically clutching their pearls on how China is going to react to Japanese content moving forward. And also, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Dway is literally in the CCP, so they kind of have their hands tied. Now, whether or not that would affect anything in Honkai Impact 3rd, I'm not sure, but maybe Honkai Impact 3rd just isn't popular enough right now for them to care, or maybe they're just being overly cautious, the HSR devs, I mean. Either way, I'm not gonna blame them for this delay. There are a number of things to talk about, though. I've heard a number of people complain about the lack of events and game modes to do for this patch for 8 weeks, and I do think that is a bit of a valid complaint. Granted, they do have a number of honestly, they could actually just rerun older events, like literally have them be the exact same thing. Even if it's content we've done before, at least it would be something to do, but I understand all their focus right now is on trying to take out any type of Japanese elements for the next region. That said, though, I do think, like I said, they should have rerun some older events. Again, you don't have to change anything about them, just rerun them exactly how they were. At least people have something to do, because as it stands now, even if this was just a 4 to 6 week patch, I'm pretty sure it usually lasts about a month, and I'm pretty sure patches normally last like a month and around a half. But regardless, let's move on to the next point. Some people are saying how the Dahlia is power creeping the game so hard. No, the Dahlia isn't power creeping, but it's them finally putting out another Super Break character after a year of nothing for it. And I'll get to why we haven't gotten anything Super Break related later. Now, I do agree, some people are saying, well, why didn't they just buff Ron May to be able to do something similar? That is a bit of a valid complaint, but at the same time, let's also look at Kafka, for example. She used to be the cornerstone of Dot, and in a way still kind of is. She got a buff, and that basically enabled people to completely revive Dot with a number of teams, like Black Swan, for example. Super Break is in kind of a more complicated situation, although thinking about it now, they either could have buffed Ronmei or the Harmony Trailblazer to introduce Super Break being able to actually actually deal Super Break damage even though they aren't broken, which, let me get to that real quick. A number of people are like, oh, they're breaking the rules of the game, and I'm just like, that's how I felt at first, but then I'm just like, wait, hold on. Now, the rule of Dot originally was that damage would only be dealt on the enemy's turn, but that wasn't doing anything, so they released Kafka, which basically had the ults detonate, not the ult, the dots detonate when she did an ultimate. So that rule got broken. Oh, weaknesses are really important. Even as early as, I think it was 1.1, Silverwolf was introduced and implanted weaknesses. And then now we have Anaxa that implants all the weaknesses. And it's just like, you know the quote of the game, rules are made to be broken? I feel like that's going to apply to a number of things. I mean, for Pete's sake, we had Abundance, which is dedicated to healing, and Lingsha, as early as last year, was able to be a DPS in her own right, and a very strong one at that. So the rules for this game are constantly breaking. I am a little upset that the core of Super Break, which is, you know, breaking the enemy, isn't going to be as strong as it was before, but at least from what I've seen, you will still be dealing really big damage when you actually break them compared to a regular Super Break attack with the Dahlia. Okay, now, I've heard a number of people saying, oh, they're reusing assets, like the new boss fight is just Sam but swarmified. Buddy, we are literally going back to Penacony in a flashback for more context of the finale of Penacony, which is something the players have been asking for. Of course, it's going to look at least a little familiar. And honestly, considering we don't know what it is that makes that Sam armor turn into what it does, but it actually could be related to a comrade of Firefly, and I have a feeling it's gonna be pretty sad. Now, another complaint I've heard is people going, well, why didn't they put the Dahlia in anywhere in the 3.0 patches instead of at the end? They couldn't because it was mega packed. If you didn't notice that, basically all the Chrysos Air released 2 characters every patch. The only time they theoretically could have had open space was the second half of 3.4, and that had Finan, Artoria, Emiya. Yeah, I mixed up Artoria and Emiya. On raid up the entire time. So, yeah, why not? Yeah, go ahead, put in the Dahlia right there. No, that would have been a disaster on people's Jades even more than it already has. Which, speaking of which, some people are saying that this patch is probably a trap for 4.0. It might be, it might not. From what I've seen, the Dahlia really does fix all of Super Break's issues. I know it definitely will for me with my Firefly, and honestly, if it wasn't for the super delay from all the way to February, oh, that's so mid-February, that's so long, I would probably be skipping the Dahlia, but because we're waiting so long, I'm like, I'll go for her, why not? Some people, like I said, they're saying, oh, this patch is bait with the banners, and I'm just like, what patch isn't at this point? Come on, you can't just say that every single patch. Gosh, you people would not survive in FGO where they can just randomly drop banger reruns after banger reruns. You people would go insane in there. Now, another complaint I've heard, and honestly, this has been a complaint for all of 3.0, is the lack of 4 stars. You know what? I get it, and I somewhat agree, but there's a problem. Amphorius was already long enough as it is. And that's both a praise and a complaint depending on the person. So they really couldn't have added any more 4 stars because we were stuck on Amphorius. And the stories were already pretty long, and they would have gotten even longer and probably felt out of pace with another 4-star. Granted, there is an exception to that. They could have given us a 4-star small Cyrene. I will never let that go that we never got that. Overall, though, I think 3.8 is fine. It's honestly fine. Does it suck that we're having to wait 8 weeks? Yes, but it's out of the devs' control. I do think they could have given us more events to play with. Like I said, even reruns. But honestly, it'll be fine, guys. It'll be fine. Like, if anything, this is time to work on your backlog. They need the time to change things around so the CCP doesn't get on their ass. It'll be fine. Just do what you can, do your dailies, or even take a break from the game if you want and come back in 4.0. Or don't. It's up to you. Honestly, people have varying degrees of thoughts when it comes to Honkai Star Rail. I basically continuously play for the story and characters, and honestly, I'm always competing with my best friend Lane to see who can get the higher either anomaly score or MOC score. Actually, no, we compete in literally Apocalyptic Shadow and Pure Fiction. We're very competitive like that. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts for 3.8. I don't have too much more to say, and for the record, this was completely unscripted, other than just having a few talking points to go with. And let me know if you want me to do more videos like this, because if I can make some more videos like this without having to spend hours typing up a script, that'd be great. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about the video. What are your pulling plans? And how excited are you for 4X? Maybe I'll make a video about my thoughts for the upcoming characters that were teased and my thoughts on who they could be. But that'll do it for me. Bye!
Data received.